20 things open. So, on to the next one. Abby, I'll talk to you soon. And maybe we'll see you in September in Poland and you can come do a talk. We
Oh
hope.
yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Okay, great. Thanks again. And now, moving on. Um, we go to Mr. Vanderpool. Hang on. Let me unmute you first.
Hi, Rob. How are you?
Hi. Now, you can pronounce it the right way so I don't mess it up, okay?
Don't worry, I will. Shall I do it now?
Yes, please.
Just not to prolong the suspension too much. So my name's pronounced Boelo.
That's what I thought.
It's a Dutch name. It's spelled Boelo. It's pronounced Boelo. There you go.
Yes, I was just afraid, living here in Poland, like it took me 5 years to be able to say Agnieszka. So I'm so afraid of mispronouncing people's name.
Nowhere, anywhere. I've been living in Spain for 30 years, so you can imagine how often I'm called Boelo. I actually sometimes I respond more to Boelo than to Bula right now, to be very honest.
Well, I can relate with this because having the name Rob, when I was in the States, I was living with a Japanese girl, and they can't say R, so she used to call me Lob. And then I moved to Brazil, where they can't pronounce R, and it was Hob. I don't think I've heard my name said properly in 50
For a long
years.
time. There you go. There you
Okay.
go.
So great. You can share the screen, and I'll get that link that you sent me, and I'll put that in later.
Wonderful.
So it's all yours. Take it away.
Great. So, hello everyone. You've been here for quite a while already, all of you. So I don't know how tired you are right now. But I've got something prepared for you for the next half hour, more or less, and I'll try to make it a little bit dynamic as well, and to make it informative and maybe even fun. But before I start, just to show you that Rob's not the only one doesn't know how to pronounce my name, and this is why on my initial slide I always put my name in a phonetical way as well, so nobody gets it wrong. But before I start, I would like to start with a story, something that happened to me several years ago. One morning, I get a phone call from a mother, and she tells me that over breakfast she was talking to her son. Her son's called Simon, 14 years old, and she was saying to him, she said, "Listen, I know you're doing quite okay in school, but you really have enormous trouble learning English. I mean," she says, "English is like almost a no-go for you. It seems that teachers say that you're unmotivated, teachers say they think that you're lazy, that you just don't want to do this, etc. But hey, I found someone for you. I found something for you. I think I found someone who can really help you thrive in English. I read about these people, I read about this guy, and I'm going to talk to them today." And then Simon says to his mum over breakfast, he says, "Oh, mum, forget about it. Just don't even bother calling them. English is a closed door for me." That's how he describes English at the age of 14, a very bright boy. What I haven't told you yet, and this is why the mother called me, is that Simon has dyslexia. And that's what we're going to talk about for the next 25, 30 minutes, more or less. And we're going to talk about if dyslexia is a problem, because for him, this was obviously a problem, or if it is an opportunity. And spoiler alert, the answer is highlighted. Yeah. Okay. So from here on, you can know where this more or less is going. So for the next 20 minutes, we're going to talk about dyslexia in numbers for you to understand a little bit more about dyslexia. We're going to talk about a problem. We're also going to talk about a solution, because I don't like problems, I don't like solutions. And as I said, we're going to talk about an opportunity for your students, but most of all, an opportunity for you as a teacher. let's look at the numbers first. Oh, and in between, I also have some bonuses for you, because I prepared this yesterday. I went like, oh, I'm just going to put some bonuses here and there. So I'm going to give you some really insightful information about dyslexia, and also some insightful information of how you can work with dyslexic students in the classroom. First of all, I looked for data on Poland yesterday, actually, about the prevalence of dyslexia. I couldn't find anything. Actually, the only thing I could find were papers that said there is no official data. So basically, that's it. But it leads me to the prevalence of dyslexia worldwide, so official data worldwide. And I understand that Polish people are no different from German or English or American or Japanese in that way, because it's a neurodevelopmental condition. Prevalence of dyslexia in the population is between 10 and 15%. Between 10 and 15% of the people are dyslexic. It's about 33 people here today, 35, I think I counted more or less. I know Russell said he's mildly dyslexic. I'm mildly dyslexic. That makes 2. I'm pretty sure there's quite a Rob goes like, yeah, maybe me as well. That's 3. Well, that's 10% already of the people here in the room. And then it's very likely that there might be other people in the room that I know. There's other people with ADHD in the room as well, because I know them. And there'll be other people in the room with other neurodiversities, very difficult word, neurodiversities. So we will definitely reach the 10 to 15%. Now, if we take that number and we look at the population in Poland, because this obviously I could look up, the population in Poland between 10 and 29 years of age. Yeah, so I looked it up, and this is statistics from 2022. And I say 10 to 29 years of age because I guess that's going to be like the range of students that the majority of you will be teaching. Yeah, if you teach in Poland. About 8 million people, so 7,866,000 people. Now, if you go 10 to 15% of almost 8 million people, it means that in Poland alone, the population between 10 and 29 years of age, you have almost 1 million people, 1 million Polish people between 10 and 29 years of age that run around with a dyslexic brain, that run around like Simon, actually, like that boy, and that many of this 1 million Polish people will look at English as a closed door because they think for them it is impossible. This leads me to the first bonus of the day. So first bonus is basically when people ask me, what is dyslexia? Good question. Okay, yeah, we more or less know this, but really, what is dyslexia? Very complex thing to talk about. I could fill like a couple of hours on this, but to make it very short, the easiest way to explain dyslexia for me is that dyslexia is a different way of the brain in processing the information it receives. And I'm going to explain it in a very simple and visual way. So let's imagine that instead of taking information from point A to point B, yeah, that's learning. So if I learn, neuron A and neuron B communicate, and that's what learning is. So instead of talking about neurons, let's talk about villages. And let's talk about 3 different villages, so 3 different brains. And in village 1, the information from village A to village B goes in a Ferrari. Now, I don't know about you guys in the room. I don't have a Ferrari, so I don't know exactly what it is like to drive a Ferrari, but I can imagine Ferrari should go like really fast. So imagine your Ferrari goes extremely fast from village A to village B. This is how it takes the information from one place to the other in a split second. This is what the autistic brain looks like. So the autistic brain processes information extremely fast. Now, brain number 2 takes information in a family car, a normal sedan. I mean, I'm living in Spain, so I'm saying a Seat Ibiza, yeah, because this is where I live. And it takes it on a normal road, about 80 kilometers an hour, normal speed, no problem whatsoever. This is a neurotypical brain. Now, before I said neurodiverse, which holds dyslexia, dyspraxia, autism, ADHD, dyscalculia, etc., which is 15 to 20% of population, so more than the dyslexics alone, which means that the rest of the population, about 80%, is neurotypical. So about 80% of the people take information from one part of the brain to the other part of the brain in a Seattle Ibiza or whatever family car they wish to choose. Now, the third brain I want to talk about is the dyslexic brain. And the dyslexic brain takes information from village A to village B on a bicycle. My brain takes information on a bicycle. I'm pretty sure Russell's brain many times, maybe Rob's brain many times, feels like it takes information on a bicycle from one point to the other point. It's not only that sometimes it's slower in processing the information, it's that since it's on a bike, it can take a detour. It just goes a little bit to the right and a little bit to the left. Sometimes some information might fall out of the basket. Sometimes we just pick up information and put new stuff in the basket. And when we reach village B, so when we take that information from A to B and we reach village B at the end, and we maybe have taken some time to look at the bushes and to look at the pond and the ducks, etc., we get to village B. We also have the opportunity to enter village B from whichever entry point we want. And that's a very, very important thing to know about dyslexia. So a dyslexic student can and will interpret the information that you give them from many different angles, and probably even the angles that you would never think of yourself. This leads us to a problem, because I did say to you that 10 to 50% prevalence in the population, about 1 million people in Poland between 10 and 29 years of age. But the problem with dyslexia is that the vast majority of dyslexics don't know it themselves. So the vast majority of dyslexics don't know themselves that they have a dyslexic brain, they are dyslexic. So obviously the teachers don't know it either, and teachers are not trained for this. So what happens? Teachers will label students as lazy, unmotivated, disruptive, and class clowns. I said, I am dyslexic myself. I only realized 6 years ago that I'm dyslexic, which is actually when I started working with dyslexia and language learning. And I used to be unmotivated many times, and I definitely used to be a class clown. I'm not very disruptive and sometimes lazy as well. So whenever I speak to teachers and I say to them, how many dyslexic students do you know in your class? They will say, oh, not that many, because of what I said before, because they don't know how to recognize dyslexia in their students, and their students many times don't know it themselves either. But if I ask those teachers, how many of your students would you say are lazy, unmotivated, disruptive, or class clowns? They will say at least 20%. Now, I'm not drawing a direct line between neurodiversity or dyslexia and being lazy, unmotivated, class clown, or disruptive. But I am saying that when you have a student in your class who is lazy, unmotivated, class clown, disruptive, there might be something behind that. And it is very likely, and I'm going to say this, it's very likely that that student has a neurodiverse brain, and it is very likely that this student is dyslexic, because dyslexia is one of the most prevalent neurodiversity. So if you have a neurodiverse student, it is most likely that the student has at least dyslexia. This leads me to the second bonus. 15 minutes into the talk and 2 bonuses already. That's looking very promising. Second bonus. You will want to know what to do, because you will want to know, so, okay, yeah, great. Problem is that I don't know about dyslexia, but what can I do to help my students with dyslexia? Well, I wrote a free guide on teaching languages to students with dyslexia. Now, I sent the link to Rob. Rob's going to put this in the chat in a couple of minutes. But if you want, you can also download it using this QR code. The QR code will be on the bottom for a little while as well. You can download it there. It's for free. And you can read it. It's about 30 pages, more or less, and it really gives you some insight about how to teach languages to students with dyslexia. So we've seen the numbers, we've seen the problem that many times teachers don't really know when their students, and if their students are dyslexic, but also that their students don't know it themselves. Now we're going to look at the solution, because obviously when there is a problem, there's also a solution. And we're all here today because we as teachers, we want to evolve We want to get better at what we do. We want to help our students better. We want to maybe help more students as well. We want to make our classes more effective. So obviously, everything we talk about today is about teacher training. This is what this whole event is about, and this is why I love it that there's so many people here, because it really means that if you're here on a Saturday morning, you really must care about your students, and you really love what you're doing. So for that, congratulations, because your students are really lucky to have you in front of them in the classroom. Now, I offer a lot of teacher training. My training is all about neurodiversity. It is about dyslexia, ADHD, dyscalculia. I've been doing this for over a year now, with really good results. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit more later, because I'm going to give one of my newest trainings away for free for that winner, as well as for their friend as a Christmas present. And for the rest of you, I also offer an enormous discount on that training. The next bonus, what can I do in my class? So we've looked at dyslexia, we've looked at what we are usually, how we are labeling our students, which is a problem. But what can you do as a teacher? How can you teach them effectively? So these are some bits and pieces that I'm going to give you now in this bonus that come straight from my training. So this is straight, a couple of slides from my training that I'm going to use here as well. First of all, what you want to do when you work with dyslexic and ADHD students is that you want to use less text and more visual-based material. I'm not saying no text, because dyslexia is all about reading and writing. There's many more things involved, but most of all about reading and writing. I'm not saying no text, I'm saying less text. Less text and more visuals. But use your visuals wisely as well. It's not about filling a page with 10 pictures. It is using one picture, choosing that picture wisely, and be coherent in the use of that visual, of that picture. So use that picture every time you talk about that same concept. The next one is the use of colors. You will see from my slides as well that I highlight the most important things in a different color, or I even put in a different color and I highlight them even further, like the word colors here. Color coding is very, very powerful for dyslexic students. It's extremely powerful. It's the connection between what's on the screen or the page and the brain of the student. And you can use color coding for many, many different things. You can use it to highlight the keywords, which is what I'm doing here. You can highlight grammar. So if you're working on the ing ending, you can make your INGs in a different color. You can use it for spelling as well. If you use on the TH sound that Abby said before, or the OU sound here, you can put the OU in a different color. But again, the same as with visuals, you have to be coherent in your color coding. So if you work on the ing sound and you put the ing sound in red, you choose the color. And the next time or the next page you put it in green, your dyslexic student will be completely confused, because they will go like, oh my God, last time it was red, now it's green. It must be something different. Yeah, so you have to be very coherent in the use of your colors. Dyslexics have the capacity to look at things in a holistic way. We are very good at seeing the big picture. We're not very good at the minor details. We're really good at seeing the big picture. So we want to teach our students in a holistic way, basically taking the whole language and have them work with the whole language instead of with individual sentences or lists of verbs. We want to make our teaching multisensorial as well. And what I mean with multisensorial is that we use all the senses. We use text, we use visuals, we use reading, we use listening, we use speaking, we use games. We use standing up, sitting down, walking around the room, kinesthetics. We touch stuff as well. Students play things out. We need to use all the senses. And we need to use all the senses to teach one concept, because the brain has different entry points according to, well, depending on the senses we use. And we really have to find what entry point works best for our students. So what's the best way to get that information from village A to village B? have in our student. And it's not only trying to figure out what works best and then sticking with that sense. It really is about using all the senses, not at the same time. So it's not let's sing a song, play a game, read a text, and then all at the same time. That's not it. It's not overwhelming the student, but it is do one thing first, and then another one, and another one. So repeating the same concept, but in different sensorial ways. That is extremely important for students with dyslexia or ADHD. And this one, give extremely clear instructions. I have seen many situations in classrooms with teachers and dyslexic and ADHD students as well, where the teachers got extremely angry, frustrated at the student got frustrated, and then in the end, it all boiled down to the teacher not having given clear enough instructions. Remember what I said at the beginning. Remember that your dyslexic student takes information from point A to point B on a bike. And remember, when they get to point B, they're able to enter that village from any possible angle that they might see. So when you give your students an instruction to do something, your student can interpret that instruction from many different angles. And this is what happens many times, that we give instructions and the student maybe does something completely different. But then when we argue with the student, and in the end, we actually have to give in and say, yeah, well, maybe you were right at the end. So giving clear instructions is very important, especially to avoid situations of stress, you as a teacher, as well as your students. And that leads me to the opportunity. Obviously, from the previous slide, in the course, in my trainings, there's a lot more strategies. We talk about creating material as well, but this is what I wanted to give you as a bonus today. And it gets us to the opportunity. The big opportunity for you as a teacher, or maybe even for you as a school manager, if you go to school, we have the opportunity to help more students. 10 to 15% of the population, about 1 million people alone between 10 and 29 years of age in Poland. An opportunity for personal growth. You as a teacher to grow personally, to learn new stuff, to become a better teacher, to become a better even maybe human being, because you understand that 10 to 15% of the population more. And what happens with teachers that come to my courses, they will understand some of their friends better. They will understand their spouse better, their own children better, because maybe they even understand themselves better. Because many times what happens is people come to my course and they go like, oh, wow, I think I'm dyslexic myself. Now I understand a lot of how I work as well. We have an opportunity to make a difference for our students, to make a difference in society, to make a difference in our community, to really make a difference as teachers. And hey, let's face it, we also have an opportunity to make more money, because remember, about almost 1 million people in Poland between 10 and 29 years of age that you would be able to help better if you know how to do this. And how can you do this? You can do this many ways, but one of the ways you can do this is through this course. I have created a Dyslexia Smart Teacher program. I will take teachers that know nothing about dyslexia or ADHD, and I will make these teachers dyslexia smart teachers. They will be experts in teaching English to students with dyslexia or ADHD. It is a 6-module program. So it's 6 modules. It's going to take us about 8 weeks. Module 1 is understanding, recognizing dyslexia and ADHD. Then we're going to talk about dyslexia and ADHD-friendly teaching strategies, what we talked about in the previous slide, but much more than that as well. Adapting and creating dyslexia and ADHD-friendly materials. So how can I adapt and make material for these students? Self-esteem and emotional intelligence, motivating your students with dyslexia and ADHD, very important. This one I love a lot. Effective communication around dyslexia. How do I talk about this with the parents, with the students, with other students in my class? How can I make a truly inclusive learning space for these neurodiverse students? And we're also going to look at other learning differences like autism, dyscalculia, dyspraxia, etc. It will be a video-based course. It will have some text as well. There will be three live sessions with me in small groups. There will be some assignments for the teachers as well to take, because it's a really complete course, and I really want to make sure that you know how to make your own material, and you will get feedback from me on that material. So from there on, you will really become a Dyslexia Smart Teacher. And at the end of our 8-week journey, you will have your Dyslexia Smart Teacher certificate. You will have your spot on a Dyslexia Smart Teacher map, a worldwide map that I'm going to create with all the Dyslexia Smart Teachers that will have been in my courses, with contact details as well. So that's where maybe your new students can come from. And you will become a member of the Dyslexia Smart Teacher Network. We will meet up probably every month. We will talk about new information, new insight, new research, share ideas, etc., etc. Now, this course, I'm really finishing writing this course right now. I'm finishing the last videos. The course is going to be published in January. This is actually the first event that I talk about this Dyslexia Smart program. So you're pioneers in this, in that sense. The course has a very competitive price. 8 months. It's going to be career changing. It might even be life changing for many people. 490 euros for the whole course, as well as the 6-month membership of the Dyslexia Smart Teacher Network. But for you guys, for everyone, there's a 50% discount. So only 245 if you sign up between now and Christmas. And Rob, we're going to give away one to one person in this room and one to one of their friends that they want to invite.
Yes, we are.
So, shall I stop sharing? Does anyone have any question, any remark? If you like, put them in the chat. I haven't checked it myself. And if there is, just let me know. And if not, download my ebook, visit my website. You can contact me there as well, and then we'll have a chat that way.
Well, I have a question. I have, you probably noticed it. I have a problem with typing that I notice Russell does the same thing, that I think I'm hitting the right letter and I don't. And I've had this all my life. What do you call it?
I mean, I can't say this is dyslexic.
Yeah.
But it is likely that it is that dyslexia has a lot of signs. So one of the parts of the course